Healing from a magical point of view. First of all, dear healers, sorcerers, and everyone else, do not take on excessive responsibility. When the time comes for you to bear such responsibility, you will undoubtedly understand. A person who practices healing techniques is at the first level of sorcery, the very first level. They are like a morgue attendant. Nothing depends on them, but they have the opportunity to learn something. This is because, first of all, no magical forces are involved in healing, as I told you in our previous lesson. The right to health is the only right that every person has by virtue of being born. This means that everyone has a system of self-regulation and the ability to exercise their right to health. When a person gets sick, it means that, for some reason, their self-regulatory system has been disrupted. And there can be many reasons for this. The body, like technical equipment, can have either an engineering defect or simply a technical or mechanical one. A healer corrects a technical defect. They do not correct an engineering defect. If there is an engineering defect, it will inevitably manifest itself. I think this is a bad example. All right, let me put it another way. Let's put the engineers aside. A healer helps a person restore their natural balance of forces. Some correct the power of the elements, some balance the elements, some adjust levels of consciousness, while others remove unnecessary fears. However, they do nothing with the intention of using any kind of magical force, which in this world usually comes at a high price to influence a specific person. Yes, of course, if a person has developed an illness, it did not come out of nowhere. Just as their self-regulatory system did not break down for no reason, this means that there is something wrong with that person's consciousness, or something was wrong in the consciousness of their ancestors, and they passed on this genetic disease. And it is their task to deal with this problem in some way, through their own consciousness or through some other means. But they must deal with their illness themselves. They must either overcome their illness or allow their body to mutate to such an extent that the illness ceases to be an illness and becomes a natural form of existence. This is very difficult to understand because we are generally not used to thinking of our bodies as self-regulating organisms. Each of us harbors an enormous number of viruses and diseases, including cancer and many other ailments. Yet these manifest in some people but not in others. This suggests that one person's self-regulatory system is functioning while another's is not. So either they have been placed in an aggressive environment that forces the disease to mutate and develop, or their consciousness has already shrunk to such a tiny fragment that it can no longer deal with the disease independently. In any case, every healer must remember that every illness is a problem of consciousness. All a person needs to do is avoid an aggressive environment, develop immunity, trust their intuition to stay out of that environment, and develop their consciousness, without allowing themselves to succumb to their own fears. But no. So, all a healer is doing is slightly adjusting a person's consciousness with the abilities they have been given. And there should be no burden of responsibility on a healer, because, first of all, they do not control the situation. A person has come for help. They have come of their own accord, so a healer must help them. For a healer, this is simply an experience, but for the person, it may be their last chance to do something. It is the same with spoilage. When the outer layer of its effects is removed, the person is given the opportunity to gather their strength, compose themselves, and deal with the issue on their own. The same applies to healing. When someone is placed in the same space as a healer, it means they have been given a certain chance, a period of well-being and health, to finally realize and understand what is wrong with them. Thus, a healer only corrects failures in consciousness, but only on a surface level. They do not deal with engineering failures. Like a repairman, they focus only on technical defects, giving the person a temporary boost in functionality. They may clear a few things up, adjust a few gears, or top up the fuel, and the machine starts working again. But once again, a healer can only fix it for a period of time. The effect is never permanent, not until a person's consciousness realigns itself. If a person does not use this gift, this carte blanche, to their advantage, then no healer will be able to help them, and a person must pay the price for the effect given. A healer bears no responsibility. Firstly, a healer must remember that if a person has come to them for help, then that is how it was meant to be. Secondly, they must use their abilities to help that person. And if a person has been given extra time, then it must be needed for something. A healer is a repairman. They do not have the right to decide whether this television should continue to work or whether the owner should throw it away. This television may have sentimental value, so let the owner use it while they can. The parts can be replaced, the dust can be wiped off, the cable can be changed, but that does not mean it will work better than before. It simply means it will work. The same goes for the healer. They give the physical body a little more time to function so that the consciousness can complete what it has not yet completed.